Hey, how's it going? What's up, Carts Boy? Good to see you. How's it going this fine Monday evening? Maybe evening where you are, maybe not, but it is here where I live. You know, it's funny. I was thinking about this. Thank you. I appreciate that. Why am I here on this scene? I'm working on a new one actually. I love After Effects. I've done a lot of like film and post-production type of stuff in the past, so it's always fun for me to make those. So always tinkering with that. But you know, the countdown is funny because I do it because it gives me time to like make sure everything's working, make sure the stream, all the settings are right, do a little promotion so that when people click the link, it's actually live, stuff like that. But it's also kind of nerve-wracking because it's just like adding a countdown to anything makes it scary. And I was like trying to clean my glasses and I had 3 minutes left and I had this thought in the back of my head like, can I get this done in time? And I realized if you went up to me and were like, can you clean your glasses in 3 minutes? I'd be like, yeah, you're crazy. Of course I could. But as soon as I actually have to do it, I don't know. It's weird how the brain works. But anyways, that is completely irrelevant to what we're doing today, which is building the KBD Fans D60 with Boba U4Ts. And I'm very excited about that. So with no further ado, let's get down to it. I just got this board in. And actually, this was like total serendipity, right? Hey, what's up, Kyle? Good to see you, my guy. Hey, maybe soon on stream if you're listening, Nullbits out there, which I've been chatting with him on Reddit. Hopefully they get a restock soon, but maybe I'll be building a nibble soon on stream. That would be dope. Anyways, there's a bit of serendipity around this keyboard because just aesthetically, I've always loved the like gray and orange or like gray and yellow color combo. It's just one of my favorites. I think it's beautiful. And so this board, which had been out of stock, I had an alert on it, popped up. And it's funny because a lot of the comments around this board were like, this is so ugly. But there's just something about this like muted gray and yellow orange combo that just, it gets me. I get it and it gets me. And I'm so thankful it exists. So I snapped this up when it came back in stock. And then I was like, okay, well, I have this. I want to build it on stream, but I'm not really sure what caps to put on it. And I'd been debating. And then I started thinking about how there's this one keycap set. Every time I see it on Reddit, every time I see it on Twitch or Instagram or whatever, I'm always like, that's an amazing set. And it's the Rama PBT Heavy Industry, which it's not even a GMK set. So I'm like, not even as if that invalidates it, but it's not a double shot. It's a PBT dye sublimation set that's had 3 runs. So there's a decent amount of them in circulation, but I just never got one for whatever reason. And I found a guy who was selling a set on Mech Market for a really good price, and I snagged it. So we will be putting that on today. But for reference, if you've never seen it before, I mean, come on. Could this not be a more perfect colorway for this board? Like, good night. I'm just over the moon. Hey, thanks for the follow, Don Moyad. I appreciate that. I actually think I might know you in real life. Good to see you. It's been a minute. Anyways, yeah, this is like the perfect colorway. So anyways, having said that, and then, you know, I'm also team tactile. And so I scored a batch of Bobas, the black ones. I like them a lot better than the normal colorway, from 3D Keebs, and got them all lubed and filmed and sounded nice. And so this is, I mean, this is going to be great. I've also never built a keyboard with a happy hacking keyboard or the HHKB layout where like control is where the caps lock key should be, but it's very much in line with like my philosophy on the caps lock key, which is that it's dumb and I hate it. And that's why every board that I can put a stepped caps lock key on, I do. So all that as a preamble, the first thing we got to do is lube some stabilizers, which this does come with stabilizers. Let me see if I can find them. But I've built boards with these KBD fans stabs before, and they're like the cherry ones that have the little, that's true, SA Tatooine would look really nice. I don't even know if that probably hasn't even shipped yet though. It's a Signature Plastics joint, which they've honestly been taking as long as GMK lately. But anyways, this does have little O-rings, which I'll probably actually use. But I just don't like these stabilizers as much. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. What do y'all think? Actually, no. Story time here. A story of sadness and disappointment. So when I was starting to brand my channel, I was very attracted to the old like Betamax cassette tape branding. Let's see if I can find it. Yeah, something like this, where you've kind of got these like colored lines. The Betamax cassettes had these like yellow through purple, which is also very similar to Tatooine. Yeah, like this, with kind of like the beige with the yellow to purple. I just have a distinct memory of this from when I was a kid, and I just love this branding, like the font plus the color. And so I was like, oh, that's great. And then while I was putting together kind of my brand package, there was this keycap set that's been since infinitely delayed, much to my sadness, called GMK Velo. And I was like, oh, I need this so bad. Like, just as my daily driver keycap set, I was over the moon about it. But yeah, you're right. Let's see. SA Tatooine. The pre-order is over. But it was for one thing, it was an expensive base set, and I think that has to do with the fact that it was like a Star Wars branding thing. I don't exactly know what their brand structure would have looked like, but yeah, these are on point. But for whatever reason, I don't know. There's some SA sets that I really like, but if I'm gonna go tall, I'll probably always go MT3, just because I love the MT3 profile and kind of the dished feel to those keycaps a lot more. They are PBT, they're not double shot, so they're gonna maybe not last as long, but they also won't shine. Now, I do like shiny SA keycap sets, which are nice. But anyways, all that to say, the branding for my channel kind of came from Betamax, just pretty much a direct ripoff. And then there's been other sets that look good, but I didn't bite on the SA Tatooine, but I think this board probably fits the branding for my channel pretty well. Also, if y'all had the new summer Red Bull flavor, not sponsored, but it's not bad. Dragon fruit. I don't mind it. It's pretty good. All right. Circling back around. I'm debating. Do I use, you know what? Nah. We'll put these on cold storage. We'll come back. I'll use the O-rings, but I will add these to my stabilizer box, but I just want to use the Durox stabs because I know them and I trust them and I know they'll sound great on this board. Look at this, the recently reorganized stabilizer box. So the 6.25s, the 7s, and then You know what I actually might do is these are all the screws, but I actually probably need, oh no, I have a whole side just dedicated to the cherry style. Here, and let me explain what I mean when I talk about clipping. Sorry, I'm not really talking into this mic very well. When I talk about clipping stabilizers. So back in the day, after PCB mount stabilizers, which basically just means stabilizers that attach directly to the PCB rather than attaching to the plate that floats above the PCB. When PCB mount stabilizers became popular, they come in two components. You have this housing, and you have a little stem that slides up and down in the housing. Let me focus this real quick. Come on, bud. There we go. Okay, as you can see. Now, the Durock stabs are very similar. They employ basically the same concept. The main difference is that these ones are clip-in, so this part is like a snap fit, like a press fit, and these are screw-in, which helps because they're just attached tighter. But also, on the old school cherry molds, they have these little legs here. And let me get some tweezers and poke them so you can see. I think the intent was to have them be kind of like shock absorbers. At least that's a theory that I've heard, because you can see that they're a tiny bit springy right here. Get a better angle. There you go. Now you can see it. Yeah, this little guy. So this typically, this little leg, most enthusiasts would recommend you cut that off. And there's two of them. There's one on each side. There's one over here that's a little bit shorter. But yeah, I agree. I think you should cut these off, and it doesn't affect the performance at all because it still will come down to rest on either the PCB or a piece of dampening material like a Band-Aid or whatever, or a sticker like these stickers are for PCBs, something. But either way, that's the thing. That's what they refer to when they're talking about clipping the legs on your stabilizers. So that's fine, but the Durock ones don't have that in the mold, so that's not even necessary. So I'm just gonna go with those. These are some screws. So we're gonna grab this bag of screws, and actually, I think we only need 3 because the HHKB layout only has a 7U stabilizer for the spacebar, which needs 2 of these and 2 of these, the pair for each side, and then has the left shift and the enter key. But other than that, I'm like, in fact, let's look at this guy. Here is the layout for this board. So any key that is 2 units or greater, so as you can see, this key, and this key are all 2 units wide or greater, will need a stabilizer, but there are no others. This shift is shortened because there's a key over here, and then the backspace is actually, oop, go away, honey. This backspace is 2 keys. So having said that, it really means that we don't have to pre-treat too many stabilizers. I thought about doing it off stream. Again, I mentioned this last time, but a wise duck told me to lube your stabs off stream. And I always think about it while I'm on stream lubing them, thinking, oh, I should have done this already. But due to the fact that this is a hot swap board, again, like last week, and we won't be soldering, I feel like I got the time. Anywho, I will be purloining these little discs. These, basically, when you run the screw up through the underside of the PCB into the stabilizer, it just helps with preventing any sort of electrical conduction with the PCB. That's what that's for. So I'm rambling though, so let's get going. Let's grab our boy Grubby Matt, who will save us from getting lube all over this nice Dixie mech, also known as Omnitype. This is one of the last places you'll see Dixie branding. They've changed their name to Omnitype, which isn't a bad name change. I don't mind it. They held on to both URLs. I made sure to test that. Look at this disgusting mat with all my dog's hair on it. Okay. Also, it's funny how like once I put this mat down, it washes out this keycap set. That's why I'm kind of thinking about putting a dark keycap set on my daily driver, just because it annoys me, but it doesn't matter. It's not what you're looking at right now anyways. So the tools we're going to need for this job are as follows. We need the stabs, obviously, and the wires, which I will pair off. We need... Oh, am I down a stem? Oh yeah, it's over here. We need the screws. We need the O-rings. We also need some lube, which is 205G0 for the stems. We need 205G2 to inject into them, and I'll explain that in a second. We need a stem holder. We need some paintbrushes as applicators. I think that's pretty much it. And then the other thing I like to do is use scissors and some tape. Which will come into play later. And a paper towel for my hands. Because trust me, this stuff gets everywhere. Anyways, how y'all doing tonight? This is going to be maybe a 15-minute process, so what's going on out there? Also, hopefully the mic sounds decent. I got my cloud lifter in finally, so now I don't have to crank the gain so much on my audio interface, which definitely helps with not deep frying my audio, which is great. So I'm right now just putting a little bit of 205G0 on the interior of the stabilizer housings. This is where plastic will be meeting plastic as it slides up and down while it's stabilizing a key. The naming conventions for the greases Cryotox makes are based on viscosity. So does high viscosity mean that it's thick? I'm trying to remember. Or is that low viscosity? Is syrup high viscosity or low viscosity? Let's Google it. Viscosity is a measure of its resistance to deformation. So yeah, high viscosity means that it is thicker or harder to deform, which makes sense because in Cryotox, so Cryotox is the brand, 205 is the product. It's the particular grease that you use as a lubricant. And then the grade is the viscosity. So grade 0 is fairly runny compared to like grade 2, which is fairly thick. And so I'm using both of those today for different purposes. I'm using grade 0 where plastic meets plastic, and I'm using grade 2 where metal meets plastic. The reason for that is that the plastic on plastic tolerances are fairly tight, meaning that you don't need to really fill up a lot of space. But where the metal meets the plastic, there's typically a lot of play, which leads to rattle, which is what makes a lot of keyboards sound terrible. So you can use a higher viscosity grease that won't like drip out of whatever you put it in to take up that space and also add some smoothness to it. So that's kind of the idea. So yeah, right now I'm lubing up the parts where plastic meets plastic, and then I will lube up the parts where metal meets plastic with the syringe that's full of the grade 2, which is a lot thicker or more viscous. Okay, so there's all of our housings. And then I like to use this little stem holder. This is, I think it's like a jewelry tool. It's kind of neat. I'll show you. It, when you squeeze on the end, like you can push down on this end part here, it opens these little teeth, and then you can just grab the stem, and now you're holding it. It's very handy. Zoom out, but maybe not as much, so you can see what I'm doing. So I'm now lubing the outside of the housing. And then I'm gonna take my syringe and I'm gonna inject some grade 2 inside this housing in the spot where the wire will go. Then I take my housing and I insert the stem into the housing. And then I like to take a little bit more of this grade 2 and inject it in this little site where the metal also will be touching. Like such. So then I can insert the wire and snap it into place. Now, Bob's your uncle. That thing sounds nice. I also, granted, I know there's a lot of competing thoughts on how to do this, so don't take my method as gospel, and to be honest, don't take anyone's method as gospel. I mean, people will be, you know, there's lots of YouTube videos out there and they all say something different. There's lots of people out there who all say something different. Honestly, just try it for yourself. The reason I do it this way is just because I've built many keyboards and that's what I've found, but yeah, I don't know. Try it for yourself. Especially if the keyboard's for you. I mean, I've had clients who request specific ways of lubing the stabs, and so I'll honor that because they're paying me. So, but if it's for me, I'll do it the way that I always do it. All right, 1 down, 2 to go. Like I said, there's only 3, so we're really going to be cruising on this guy. Whoop. Maybe I'll keep that in there. I feel like I should come up with a segment to run while I'm doing this, you know? Because I think of all the parts of the keyboard building process, this is the one where I have the most dead air. So I need to, like, come up with something to fill that. I don't know if dead air matters that much on Twitch, but it matters to me. I don't want these to be boring. Also, special shout out to the folks on YouTube. I've had a decent amount of people find my YouTube channel in the last week. I mean, not mind-blowing numbers or anything, but the people that have found it have been very, very kind and supportive, and that means a lot to me. So if you're watching this on YouTube and you have been encouraging to me, just know that I appreciate it a lot. And I don't know, for like a small creator who's had multiple YouTube endeavors, this is by far the most positive response that I've had from people, which is really encouraging. So thank you. I appreciate it. Oops, I put this in backwards. There's one important thing actually that I should point out as well. And I apologize if this is pedantic if you are a keyboard pro and you know, you've been around the block. This is review for you, but if you're not, so on a stabilizer, you've got the two parts. Well, really the three. There's the wire, there's the housing, there's the stem. Here's the housing, and the housing has a hole on one side and not on the other. So that's where the wire gets inserted. And on the stem, you can see it's nice that these Duroc ones are clear or smoky or whatever you call it, but you can kind of see the way the internals work. But on this side, you've got a top and a bottom, and on this side you just have one opening. And so you can see the way that works where it's like this little slanted piece inside. The wire gets inserted into the lower of the two openings on this side. So when you put the stem into the housing, you want to make sure that the two openings are facing the entrance point on the housing here. So that's kind of one thing you got to watch out for. If you put them in backwards, it'll like feel like it's working, and then the wires will pop out as soon as you start to use it, which can be a nightmare if you've soldered up your build already. And don't ask me how I know that. Repressed memories. But it's okay. You live and you learn, right? I mean, what's the point of building a bunch of keyboards if you learned nothing? Don't waste your mistakes. All right. Last stem. Like I said, this is a quick one. We're only at 30 minutes in and I'm almost done with stabs. Turns out the secret to like world record pace is just build a smaller keyboard. Who knew? All right. Cool. That is it for that. So now we just need to install them, which is what the tape is for. So let's get this out of here. Get him out of here. So I don't knock it over and spray everywhere. Let's also wipe off our brush. All right. So let's grab our PCB. The nice thing is it's hot swap, so it'll be easy to test how well these are working. But and actually, hold the show. Before we even do that, let's test our PCB in general, because my gosh, I am blind. The tragedy that can befall you sometimes, not very often, is that your PCB doesn't work. This enumerated, so it at least there's no like, show-stopping electrical problems. But let's pull up VIA so we can use the switch tester. And in fact, once we have VIA pulled up, would you look at that? This board is VIA compatible. Beautiful. Now, this board is a more universal PCB than just this keyboard. So it has extra switches that we won't be using. They'll actually be covered up by the case. So we will need to shift around some of this stuff to match the HHKB layout. But for now, let's just go into the key tester mode and let's test our switches. So here's escape. 1, so we're on the number row. Just to be sure, because typically if a single switch isn't working, that's something we can fix ourselves without having to send it back. If the whole board's not working, sometimes you can fix it, depending on how obvious the issue is for a Neanderthal like me. But generally, if it's a single switch, I can almost always figure out what's going on and get it fixed. Partly because I have broken several PCBs just by doing dumb things in my past, and have had to learn, because you can't send that to the manufacturer and say, hey, I broke it. And you don't want to buy a new one because that's money. So what are you going to do? You're going to try to fix it. So anyways, there are a lot of things you can do to try to fix it, especially on something like a keyboard where most things are traced. I mean, everything's a trace on the PCB, but you can get away with like a really thin wire hopping between 2 points or something like that. Or you know, if a surface mount component dies, you can get away with like a through hole component dangling off the bottom, as long as it's not floating around too much in the case. Things like that. It's not like a really tiny close quarters circuit board that needs mechanically for everything to be surface mount, which is nice. Is that insert? Weird. Huh, that's the function key, but for some reason it's pressing insert. These are labeled on the bottom, which is kind of cool. I'll show that after we're out of this scene. But there's Windows, space. I do need to make sure that is indeed a 7U space. There's 6.25, there's another Windows key, and 7 are the common spacebar sizes, but this is also RGB. We're using a polycarbonate plate, which is one of my favorite plate materials, but there's no shine through on these keycaps, so you know, kind of wasting it in a small sense. And indeed, this is a 7U spacebar. Unanimous. So PCB has been tested, and actually I'll show you what I was talking about with the with the silk screen on this PCB. They went ahead and labeled them, like, yeah, you can see here's like Y, you know, R, E. So you know what letter it's originally supposed to be. Now, due to the fact that this is going to be like the HHKB layout, we are going to reprogram some of those, but it's kind of nice that if you're going to keep it stock, then you know what's up. So next we are going to do another controversial, but I like to do it mod, which is to put, it's called the Band-Aid mod because originally you were using Band-Aids. I just use tape. But yeah, it's simple. You cut a little piece of tape, take a little tweezer, grab a little piece of tape, and then you just stick the tape right where the stabilizer is going to go. That way, when the stabilizer stem drops and it hits the board, it doesn't hit the hardest thing it could. It hits something maybe a little softer. And also, if there's extra grease from the lubing process, these will kind of soak it up a little bit. A percentage of benefit, maybe 2, but ease, 10 out of 10 easy. So that falls into the why not category for me. And again, we've only got 3 stabs, so might as well. You can get into trouble sometimes if you use too thick of a material or too sticky of a material. I did that once. If you go back and watch my build stream where I built an Epic KBD fans keyboard as well, I used KBD fans has some like neoprene stick-on stuff that goes under the stabilizers, but man, it just, maybe I was using the wrong stabs that they intended or what, but just every time one would go down, it would kind of just lodge in that stuff. And so because I was using switches with a lighter spring weight, they weren't powerful enough to all the time, especially on the spacebar, really get it lifted back out of it. So you'd end up hitting a mod and it would just and it would stick, and that's not a great situation to be in. But But we'll go back and fix that one at some point. I have some other stuff I got to change too, so I'll have to desolder that whole board. It has a carbon fiber plate, which is very difficult to get switches in and out of, so anyways. Alrighty, let us install these stabs. So these little O-rings, like I said, will protect us from contact from the metal screws. I apologize if you hear some extra noise. There's a vacuum going on in my home. I appreciate my wife. She takes great care of me and all of my messiness. Oh, that's exciting. It was the spider getting vacuumed. Wish I had brought the camera out there. A quarter-sized spider. She almost died. Well, you heard it here first, folks. Very exciting. All right. Let's grab the screwdriver and some screws and these O-rings. I'm curious if these are adhesive or not. Let's get some tweezers and find out. They are stuck to a sheet, so I think they might be, but they might just be like laser cut. Nope, they are adhesive. So let's actually adhere them first while this is still flat. So they're gonna go over the smaller of the two holes where the stabilizer goes in. The bigger side is for a clip to snap into, and the smaller size is for the screw to attach. These are kind of nice. I actually like the adhesive a lot better. It's very futzy to have them just kind of floating on the screw as you're trying to get it installed. So this is cool. Again, and not to make fun of someone unnecessarily, but I still think every once in a while I think about how I believe these are made of plastic, as they should be, which is an insulator. I've also seen some more like cardboard composite type materials, but glorious. I don't know. It just feels typical, I guess. They saw what the community was doing and they're like, oh, O-rings. People seem to like those on their stabilizers. We can do that too. And they made them out of metal, which completely defeats the purpose. You know, it's like they knew just enough to know that that was a thing people wanted, but they didn't know why. I don't know. It still makes me chuckle every time I think about it. I'm like, oh, okay. Good work, y'all. All right, so we're going to install these screws with this little electric screwdriver. Isn't it adorable? It's nice because it has very little torque. Oh. Something is amok here. Oh, I see. Okay. All right, so here's an interesting situation. This clip is not fully inserted. Let's focus. So when you push down, the wire pops out of the housing. So you got to make sure that that's properly installed too. So always test your stuff, especially if you make mistakes. And you kind of have to pull both screws to get the angle on it. There we go. That's a good feeling when it just sort of seats. All right. Much better. Great. Let's get the space bar installed. Make sure those get fully seated. Grab a couple screws. I definitely am a huge fan of screw-in stabilizers. There's technically at least 4 that I've dealt with more regularly, but there's 3 maybe bigger ones that there's the plate mount stabs, which clip into the plate rather than the PCB, which I don't like. They just sound sloppy, even if you tune them well. I mean, you can tune them, but they'll never be quite as stable as a PCB mount. Then there's snap-in, like cherry-style PCB mount stabilizers, which are nice, but again, everything's friction fit with just the mechanical snap-in mechanism. And then there's screw-in stabilizers, which are mounted to the PCB, and they obviously screw in, and that's what these are. And I just think they're way better. Let me grab an alcohol wipe because I want to clean off some of this lube. I have this box of secrets down here, but among them is these little medical alcohol wipes that are really nice. I ran out of them during the pandemic because every medical thing was sold out, and it took me a long time to like be willing to buy them again because I don't know, something about buying medical supplies during a pandemic just to use them on a keyboard felt wrong. Same with like rubber gloves. I use rubber gloves a lot for cooking because I have really dry hands. But also I use them when I'm building acrylic, like clear acrylic builds, because I don't want to get fingerprints in between the layers. But there was just something about like buying rubber gloves when people needed them that I felt wrong. So we're back in stock now. The world has stabilized a bit. So yeah. Anywho, board is clean. So I will put these little screws back in their bag, put the bag back in my magic box of stabilizers. And then I think we're done with our boy Grubby Mat. We'll just have to get the PCB out, or the polycarbonate plate out, and make 100% sure that these stabilizers work. Great. Up here gently. I don't know where you guys are from, but here in Montana it has been so hot. I am very much like a fair weather boy, and I think 75 is about where I max out. And it's been like 90s, like 95. It's been bad. I'm sweltering out here. Whew. But I have air conditioning, which is a huge blessing for sure. All right, let's grab a couple Bobas. Chuck them in there. But I was like, I could turn off my AC for the stream. But am I gonna? Nope. This is an interesting plate. It's acrylic, which I like a lot. I like acrylic, and I like FR4, and I like palm. All plastic materials. I think they sound great. Now I do think that there will be standoffs to hold this away. At least I saw standoffs in the parts bag. So that's why I think that. But I just want to test the stabilizers, and the plate helps keep the switches straight. These are 5-pin switches, so it's less of a concern, but yeah, I just want to make sure the switches are straight when we test the stabilizers so that they don't add any interference. These are PBT keycaps, so I am seeing that this spacebar is just a tad warped, which tends to happen. In fact, on one keyboard I built, the spacebar, ooh, that's so nice. The spacebar was so warped that I had to boil it and then try to straighten it. So let's hope that that's not the case. And I would imagine that as I attach everything correctly and the tolerances tighten up on this plate, that I won't need to do that. But these two feel amazing. And this stabilizer itself moves very freely. So I think it's just how flexible this plate is and how potentially warped. In fact, we can test that. I need something really flat. What's... My phone's pretty flat. I mean, even here on the desk mat. So if you can hear any noise at all, which you can, and you can even see it. It's definitely warped. I've seen worse. Let's check another spacebar in this set. But it's a thing that it's a thing that tends to happen more in PBT than ABS, for sure. So, will I have to heat gun this maybe? Maybe. That's kind of dangerous, but either way. All right. Also, one thing that I did last stream that I don't do as often as I should is pull up the build guide, which has been helpful. Also, do you like how I have the enter on the wrong key and the space on the, or the shift on the wrong key? I noticed that after I did it. Okay. Did I bend any of these pins? No. Okay. Great. So let's go to the build guide, shall we? Let's go to the sauce. That was weird. Hello? There we go. All right. So here you can see, first, install stabilizers. Done. Second, yeah, okay. This is what I was suspecting, is there's lots of little fiddly bits that got included. And the instructions are slightly vague. So we will go step by step on this, shall we? Keycaps are going to be last. Let's get them out of here. But, okay. So install the screws for the plate. Yeah, this just looks like your standard just screw in your standoffs kind of thing. So we just got to make sure that the orientation of the plate is correct, which it is. You can see the stabilizers lining up. So now we just need to get the standoff kit, which is here, which this is actually very nice. I appreciate this a lot because this is a hot swap board for one thing. And so the plate, like if you were just wholesale swapping your switches out, you could maybe get it to a state where the PCB is not held up anymore. But also because it's so flexible, it should make it a little bit easier to pop in all the switches, which is an issue I've had in the past with like palm plates, is that and these are two separate screw types. So I think the triangular headed like flush fit screws are the ones that go in the top, because there's kind of this chamfer on the inside here. So we're going to go with that. Now, what head style are these? These are both Phillips. So we can use the Wow Stick. You gonna like that name? I hate it. Wow Stick. Well, that is what this is called. Oh, there's even more standoffs in here. Interesting. Well, we'll get there when we get there. For now, let's just install these as directed. It's like the most unnecessary thing, a tiny handheld screwdriver, but man, does it make a difference when you're doing something like this and you don't have to like start rotating your hand. You can just focus entirely on keeping everything stable. It's great. All right. Sorry, I had a notification on my phone. I am a software developer by day, so there are occasional systems. A full set of what? Are you talking about a full set of screwdriver tips? But yeah, every once in a while I need to like check my notifications. I apologize. Just to make sure that nothing's on fire at work. Yeah, dude. So check this out. It comes with this Phillips bit, right? And every single other bit you can imagine. Look at this. This is the full set that it ships with. Like you don't, this is not an add-on. This is the very expansive range of bits that it comes with, which is awesome. And they're in these little, like you pop this open, you slide this little thing out. Isn't that cool? So, big fan. I don't even think it was that expensive. I know that there are some models that I think are cool where if they sense that you're twisting them a certain direction, they'll automatically engage. So you don't even have to hit a button. You can just start rotating it the way you want to. But sometimes it's actually nice to not have to do that. You can just push the button while everything stays static. All right, I think this is the last standoff. They're very generous with the screws and standoffs, or I opened the wrong set of them. But I think it's the former. Okay. That was step 2. Install standoffs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Am I missing one? Or did I overcount? No, there were 11. Oh, I am missing one. Well then, let's put them in. There we go. I think that's it. All right, next step. Lost my mouse. Put on plate foam. Do I want to do that or not? I have the plate foam. Maybe. Sometimes I just like to let the board sound the way it's going to sound. And this is a gasket mounted polycarbonate board. So like, should I really put foam on it? I don't know. I'm torn. Also, this is strange. Am I doing this on the wrong side? Oh, I think so. I'm so torn on whether or not I want to do this. I suppose I can take it out, right? I mean, especially given that this is hot swappable, I can just pull everything out. So let's just do that. And then the next step of the guide says to affix. Well, it says fix, but I think it would be affix the PCB with screws. So we're going to do that via these little standoffs. And the reason that I'm not using those little attachable things here is that you can see they've made kind of an area around. Although it wouldn't hurt to, but I think I can just, they don't even have it in the drawings. Do they? No, they don't. They don't have the little O-rings, because I think that's kind of already accounted for. But let's get the screws in. Okay. This is a gasket mounted board, so the whole board will be suspended inside the case, but there will be no point at which metal from the case interfaces with FR4, which is the, or actually it wouldn't even be FR4, it would be the polycarbonate of the plate, because there will be little adhesive gaskets. Oh, this is the wrong screw. Whoops. So that helps with both the sound and the typing feel. It gives every switch a more consistent sound, which is good. And then it also gives the board kind of a springier feel, which I definitely appreciate on like tactile keyboard builds. Which, if the Bobas are anything like the Kiwis and the Pandas, I think I'm gonna like them. Just based on the limited amount of play that I gave them when I was lubing them, I think I'm gonna like them a lot. But this assembly is now attached. I like it. I like it. Oh, there is one screw here that needs to go in. I see there's some on the edges. Cool. Very cool. Yeah, so the this is a great way of attaching your PCB and your plate. It's kind of what Glorious does for the GMMK Pro. Now, I know a lot of people, including the build that I recently did for a client, I took out some of the screws to give the polycarb plate more flex. So that'll be something we can experiment with here as well. Just see how that goes. But I'm just going to test every standoff just to make sure that it feels tight and I have not missed one. Like I did on those two corner ones, but so far it feels great. Let's get the Tweezy boys and fix this little foam issue here. There we go. Okay. I think we're in, folks. All right. So next step will be, according to them, to insert the switches. So let's go ahead and do that. And then once that's done, let's test the PCB again. And I dropped. Did I only drop the one? I don't know. Let's actually take the lid off the... Also, let me just gather these little screws back in a bag. They're making me nervous. There we go. All right. Let's dump out some switches on this makeshift little tray. We only need... Actually, that's a good point. I should check and see how many I actually need, because I don't want all of them. I think I need all of them except for these two bottom corners, because we're using the HHKB layout. So we'll do that. That sounded crunchy. But I see both pins. Unfortunately, no option for stepped caps, but I guess in this case we're using it as a control instead of a caps, so that's actually for the best, I'd imagine. Interesting. So some of these switches are south facing and some of them are north facing. And by that I mean the top of the switch is pointing up or the top is pointing down. That is really interesting. Okay. Let's just check the space bar again, just to see how it's doing now that the plate is a bit more secure. I'm imagining it's going to be similarly stiff or sluggish just due to that crazy bend. It's actually not that bad. Sound-wise, it's excellent. Yeah, we're going with that. Oops, that's a bent pin. Glad we caught that now. Cool. Nice. That is one disadvantage to hot swappable builds, is that oftentimes, depending on your tolerances, you'll have a switch pop out while you're trying to replace just the keycaps, but it's not that big a deal. It's very easy to put one back in. I think there's right around 60 switches on this build. And I believe I have 110 of these Bobas, so I'm not sure what I'm going to do with 50 switches, but I have some really small boards that I can use them for. I've also sometimes done things where I'll mix and match, and I'll do like, you know, don't hang me for this one, but I'll do like one type of switch for like the number row and everything else on some other switch, something like that. So you can kind of combine. I don't know that I would combine linear and tactile, but maybe two different tactiles, like maybe a one row of Kiwis, one row of Bobas. That'd actually be an interesting like comparison tool as well, I think, just so that you can feel both. I'm excited for the sound test on this. I probably will turn off my AC just to let the room noise be minimized. You know what I mean? It's been pretty loud on the last few videos. And I feel really bad putting any sort of noise reducer on it because it's trying to reduce specific frequencies, which are potentially being then taken out of the sound of the switch. So if you're trying to get an accurate representation, it may not fully be there. So I usually just include full room tone. No sound suppression at all when I'm posting sound tests, but then it just sounds like amateur hour where it's just like which is awful. So I you know, I feel like the integrity of the sound test is worth it, but it also, like I said, I've done a lot of like film and post-production stuff, and it just hurts my soul to not have clean audio.
Go on.
That definitely bent a pin. Yep. Fortunately, that's quite trivial to fix. Just need a pair of tweezers. These standoffs are great though. 10 out of 10 would recommend for a hot swap board. It's a lot easier to bend a pin on a hot swap though, because the target's a lot smaller. Like there's a larger opening when it's not, because you just fill it in with solder, but when it's hot swappable, it has a bit of like a guided entrance, but it's still a little smaller, so sometimes you'll have pins just crumple. Especially one of the pins is a lot thinner than the other, and that one's the one that tends to bend more often. All right. taking my time trying to make sure I get them all in correctly, but I only have 3 left. And then we'll do a quick test just to make sure, because some of them might be bent. And then we'll try the install. Okay. Testing time. Woo! All right. Uh-oh, where's Via? Hello. Okay. Key tester. So far, so good. These feel great. That's one thing that doesn't translate in a sound test is how good a switch feels. And sometimes I think people tend to overrate acoustics. Okay, so the M key's not working. Windows. Other windows. Okay, M key. Let's get him out of here. Get him out of here. Bent pin for days. You can only uncrumple a pin so many times, but ideally you're not going to be bending the same switch pin over and over. You know how it is. You bend metal enough and it'll just snap, but this one's fixed. There we go. All right. Great. We're back in business. Like I said, I only needed like 60 switches, so look at this giant bag of switches that I have remaining. Exciting. You'll love to see it. Okay. So now we attach our gaskets. They specifically say stick gaskets. Okay. Green one is more narrower. Okay. More narrower. Who am I to judge your grammar? Let's see. These are all the same color, obviously, but I do see some are narrower than others. It appears as though there's some short ones, which I don't know that we'll be needing, and then a set of narrow ones. So let's start at the top. Let's just get this guy on. So I think we're going to attach them. Now, with gaskets, you can either attach them to the... Hey, what's up? Good to have you back. Were you eating dinner? With gaskets, you can either attach them to the case or the plate. But in this case, they seem to want you to attach it to the plate, and that's fine with me. Whoa. There we go. Nice, right on. Dude. I've done that many times. The old tire rotation, get out the old, what do you call it? It's that compressed air powered hammer drill. I can't remember what it's called. Yep, but I've been there. I should probably do that. I also need to get an oil change. I've been overdue for a minute. I have thought about. So I have a 2010 RAV4. Great car, love it. Still under 100,000 miles, which is nice. And it has those TPMS, those like impact driver. Yeah, that's it. Those tire pressure monitoring system parts in the wheels, right? And you can take them out and move them because I have purchased new wheels before for that vehicle. And I had them transfer the TPMS sensors into the new ones. But I mean, my ideal situation is having the TP or being able to swap my tire. Like I have Blizzaks. I live in Montana, so you know snow tires are great. But what I always used to do on like my older cars was just take have a second set of wheels with those snow tires on them. And so then when winter came, I could just swap out the wheels, the whole wheel, not just the tire rubber, which is significantly easier to do on your own if you don't have to seat a tire on a wheel. So now that I have the TPMS sensors, I cannot do that. There's a fairly complicated process for like pairing TPMS. I mean, I know you can do it because people do it, but like to like every single year, or actually every twice a year, because you'd have to do it in the summer or in the spring and in the fall. But just to like swap your wheels, put on a new set of wheels, and then pair the sensors. It was really annoying. And it's actually, I think Costco actually lowered their prices for swapping out winter tires. So the other thing is my brother-in-law is a very skilled mechanic and he does it for free. I just feel bad like presuming on him because he's like, oh yeah, leave the car by, you know, the dealership and I will get it swapped out over my lunch break. And I'm like, my guy, that's your lunch break. Like, I appreciate it, but I don't want to take up your lunch break, you know? But anyways, because of that, that is one annoyance I've had with the wheels on my car. But dude, Costco, bless Costco. I love them. But I have considered, I've seen these like valve stem caps that are TPMS sensors that you can put on and then have like a cigarette lighter plug-in device that then reads off the values from those sensors, which seems like a pretty good deal. And then I would just ignore them, but just throws a tire light. Yeah, I know. I do really like the TPMS because I also had a leaky valve stem for a long time, and so it was nice to know when that tire was getting low so I could just top it off. But I've also had friends with Ravs where, you know, they got a full-size spare on the back, and they'll have... One friend I had, had the light on their, like, the low air pressure light on for, like, a year, and they just couldn't figure out why it was. And I was like, hey, did you check your spare? And sure enough, it was their spare tire was low. And, you know, it's still reporting, obviously. It's still connected, but anyways, it's a weird tangent to get on a keyboard channel, but I dig it. I'm just sticking adhesive gaskets on a plate, so it's not like it's a bad time to just be chatting. But yeah, also Costco's food court, come on son, you're never gonna get a better deal. One thing you do not want to do when you're installing gaskets on a plate is stretch them as you lay them down, because that not only will make them not fit quite right, but it will also make them thinner and therefore do their job a little worse. So you want to just lay them down kind of as they are, leave them be as much as you can, and don't like stretch them out. You know what's interesting is that my dad's car is able to measure tire pressure based on, I think it's doing a calculation based on the speed at which the tire is rotating relative to the speed of the vehicle. It can figure out based on those numbers if the pressure's low. So it doesn't matter what, once you calibrate it for like a new wheel, it doesn't matter. It just figures it out without a wireless sensor, which I thought was brilliant. Interesting. Half rye, half smoky scotch. Is that it? Just those two? Or is there anything else? Yeah, right? Isn't it smart? I'm like, I like this Toyota, but I feel like you could get on the Audi train and do what they're doing. Also, he has that new, it's like a hybrid Audi. It's not the e-tron, but it's an yeah, it's like a hybrid. That's really cool. The acceleration is wild. Has like this launch mode that's super fun. I agree. All right, what kind of screws are these? These appear to be what this socket is made for, but aha. VW Golf R. Cool. Yeah. Dude, those are sweet. I have been Benedictine. Oh, yeah. And bitters. Okay, dude, I should try that tonight. I've actually been looking at getting... Have you seen the Ford Maverick? It's a hybrid small body truck. It's a little... It's a 3/4 ton... but it gets 500 miles on a tank, and it has like 40 miles to the gallon city. But it also has a truck bed, and I was like, dude, it comes out in the fall, and the starting price is like 20, which is incredibly reasonable. So, my wife drives a little Honda Element, the little toaster, and it's very practical and utilitarian. But it's over 300,000 miles now, so we're like, we have a little seance for the transmission every time we start it, and so I'm feeling like that might be a nice vehicle to kind of be practical but also get really nice mileage. And you know, I don't know, seems like a pretty cool car. Obviously it's like the first of a model year, so you can't get it used, so it's going to be more expensive, but yeah, I was looking at that Mach-E. That's really cool. It's funny, though, because the body styling of a Mach-E is very much not like a Mustang, right? Like, it's more of an SUV type thing. Like, it almost looks more like a RAV. But, all right. This is a solid aluminum, kind of a blasted finish, too, which I really like. So, according to our instructions, it says... lock the top case. Frankly, I don't know what that means. It does look nice. Yeah, that's true. No shade to the Mach-E. It's just kind of funny that it's a bit of a departure compared to the other, the other ones. But okay, what on earth do they mean by lock the top case? I'm guessing it has to do with the way this USB port inserts. You can see that it inserts into this metal ring here. And then you just got to make sure all the gaskets line up. Okay. Okay. Now, also, yeah, dude, it is so rad. I wish it was something I could afford right now, you know what I mean? Okay, what are these? Here's the thing. I got these. Okay, spoilers. I've already gone through these instructions. But they don't mention what these are. And there's no photos either. These are so weird. They're like adhesive, but they're like fabric coated foam. My guy. I don't know what those are. It's fine. Maybe we'll find some blaring issue that they will solve once we have this assembled because it's easy to take apart. But I'm confused. Is there... I'm going to dump all these screws out here. I did lose one here. There we go. I wonder if it has to do with... Okay, there's 2 screws that hold this on. I don't know, dude. Either way, all we got to do is drop this on and screw it down. Yeah, baby, the frunk. I was looking at the Model Y because I was like, that's a really cool vehicle. They have like a camping mode and everything. And it has, not only does it have a frunk, but you can use the footwells for like rear facing bucket seats. And I was like, that'd be rad. When was the last time you saw rear facing seats in a car that wasn't like a 1970s station wagon or something, you know? There's rumors that there's going to be a Bronco EV. I don't know that those are confirmed or not. I haven't looked into it too much because I know it's going to be out of my price range, but... Okay, they came with your tofu. Interesting. Well, as long as this thing works. What kind of switches did you put in your tofu? Frunk gang. Agreed. Did I lose a screw? Am I going to hear it when I turn this over? No. Weird. There are spares over there. I'll just take one. Black inks. Nice. I have silent black inks in this tofu. Ooh, a Bakanoko. Interesting. Let me Google that board. In my mind, I'm confusing with the bar knob. Bakanoko. Ooh, that's pretty. 60%. I like it. Cool. Gasket O-ring. Nice. That's actually something that I have on the docket, is to take this tofu and mod it so that it is O-ring mounted. Not the gasket O-ring, but with like literal tiny O-rings under the screws, which I think would be dope. Ooh, baby. Okay. Let's also put the feet on. Probably don't need to use the tweezers for that since there's little indents for them. Yeah, I think it'd be nice. I have this tofu 65%, and I also have a 96% tofu with a brass plate. This one's aluminum. And that the 96 has Holy Pandas in it, so I think adding the O-rings to the standoffs in the case would really make that one sound great. This one, I don't care too much about the acoustics because they're silent switches. It's nice for stream that you're not clacking around, but anyways. Noise. Okay, this is pretty quiet. I'm wondering if I will end up pulling the foam out of this plate. Anyways, let's put these mystery pieces in, and these. And these. So they sent me a whole extra set of everything. That's kind of mysterious. Keep this on deck. And now it's time for the most triggering part of the night, where I dump out all the keycaps and then just sort through them like a madman. Obviously the spacebar. Should we do, what do you think, y'all? Should I do a flipped or normal? They are Gateron Silent Black inks. These switches are, these are not Hyperglides. These are Bobas. Flipped gang. I agree. I think it feels great. Also, is one of these ones 7U? Nope. It's just the one. Okay, well, this is what we got. I may bust the heat gun out. This does work, though. Okay. Yellow enter. Obviously. This is too big of a shift. Here's the regular shift. Okay, so let's look up the HHKB layout real quick, because we're going to need to reprogram this thing as well to match that. So this is going to be your standard HHKB layout. What do I got to do to make this big? Like that. So we'll try that, which means this goes here actually. And see how it goes. Actually, I have 2 of those. It's funny, I've been unflipping some of my my space bars on like Alice style builds just because they look a little bit nicer in photos, and I've been photographing a lot of my boards lately. And it helps a touch, but all right, so we're gonna need the 1U Alt keys and then the T's. Cool. Right on. Welcome. Good to have you. Full disclosure, my Discord is primarily just me piping in update channels from like other Discords. That's what most of those update feed channels are, but I do also post when I go live, and there is a general chatter if you want to respond with a question mark to Duck Detective, because that's what I did. But that's about it. That's about all I do. I need to get better at Discord. Sure, dude, please. Absolutely. I'd love to see him. So meta key. Aha! Here is a control. Very cool. I'm excited to try that. I think it's going to take me a million years to get used to. Dude, I agree. And it's like you can do whatever you want. You can put any key anywhere. ZXCVB. DSA is nice that way. I agree. Seemed like it shipped to you in a fairly timely fashion too, which is great. Ooh, interesting. We can I think we want the aha, we actually need a bigger delete than this because it's going here. I don't know if this set has that or not. We'll find out. Shift here, little function there, which I may swap out with a different cap, but obviously it'd be the same usage. 90. Biggest reason for it was that I could have all the macros just be the same. Yeah. Yep. That's something that I've found too, is like some boards will actually, like, there's a board called the Q-Frenzy, and there's also the Sync actually. Q-Frenzy keyboard. I'll show you. It's it's a cool board, and you can get one with these macros on the side. But if, like in this instance, they're using an SA set, so they're all the same profile, so they look kind of weird on the side. But some kits, even like GMA sets, will have like an M row that goes down instead, which is really nice. So yeah, just having keycaps for these is kind of tricky in a lot of profiles, but in like XDA and whatever, it works pretty well. So, but yeah, here's like DSA on a Q frequency, or this is a sync actually. It has the F row, but same diff. So that's kind of nice. I'm a fan of that keyboard for sure. I think this goes over one more. What am I doing? I have a keycap puller. I'm not an animal. All right. Oh, I hooked my in-ear. Hey, all right. Look at these. That is nice. Is that a custom artisan? Also, I like the mecha mat. I got one of those too. It's a very cool mat. This is pretty. Dude, I like that artisan a lot too. Frankly, that's something that I have not ever done, is purchased an artisan, which I'm like, maybe you should. Get something nice. Be kind of cool. Thanks for sharing those. That's really cool. Oh, cool. Right on. QWE. Very cool. I've actually, ironically, despite the fact that I don't own any artisans, I've considered buying one of those kits that lets you make artisans. I've seen those around, and I was like, oh, interesting. That'd be kind of cool to try to like make something. But cool, dude, that's rad. And that's also awesome that you have like a truly custom keycap, a one of one. I love that. And for a good cause. That's sweet. Alto works. Cool. What do you look for in an artisan? Because I'm usually like, I don't know. I guess for me, I see a lot of artisans that are enormous, and I'm like, oh boy, that's really cool looking, but it just stands so much taller than every other key that it's almost a little awkward. But I don't really know. I've never had one, so I guess I can't really speak to. Oh, I guess we could put this here, this little backspace for now. Yeah. I like that little, what is it, a little like a Game Boy on one of these. Yeah, it's really cute. This guy. That's sweet. This is a darker colored letter key. That's interesting. Oh, it does? Oh, that's so cool. Oh, like with the backlight? Okay, that's amazing. Oh, and what is this? Is this like a samurai type artisan? That's pretty cool. Is this the one from Ato Works? I think I said Alto Works earlier, but I think it's Ato Works. Cool. Sweet. That's rad. What's the shipping time? How does it compare to like group by shipping time? All right, this one's right after the 0. You'd think I know this by now, where the top row keys go, but I don't. Joke's on me. Let's grab this F key. $40 of them, and they're already made, so hopefully a couple weeks. Okay, that's nice. That's nice. GMK sets are like nightmarishly long right now. I was looking at the spreadsheet of orders that I had out there, and there was one that I was like, oh man, that's not going to be here till September. And then I was like, oh wait, that's September 2022. Like, it's bad out here. Yeah, I don't know. It's one of those things where it's like, at least for me, I have patience, and I feel like worst case scenario, the set comes in, I don't like it anymore, I can just sell it, you know? That's the nice thing is I don't know that I've ever seen a keycap set from GMK sell for under the original asking, which is a bit of an insurance. So it is what it is, but it's like you're floating a decent amount of money out, you know, for a while, which is scary to say the least. Some sets are like, you know, over 200 if you get a bunch of the like novelties or whatever other kits that you want. I am happy to see that most base sets have Alice support now, which is something that it's very easy to add. It's just a couple space bars. So other than that, most of the time it's totally good. So what am I missing here? Did I just chuck a... Yeah. Nice. You know, there's a set. I keep getting distracted, but it's worth it. Let me check on Amazon. That I've seen a lot of good things about. Let's look at my lists. See more. Keeb. This one. People seem to really like this. And it's very cheap. It's PBT, so it's die sub. It's not like double shot, but I don't know. People seem to really like it. And I was like, oh, interesting. You know, like, I don't know if it's even a close replacement for like a GMK set. I wouldn't think so, but oh, we're gonna put what do you think? Should I go with the darker or the lighter of these two? I think it may be darker, just because that'll like theme all the way up and down. And I think I'm actually gonna pull this function out and put in a gray function, because I think I'd prefer that this, and this is an alt key technically, but it could be anything. So let's find a gray dot and a gray dot. I think I like it when just the escape and the enter are like different. Now, we have a bit of a conundrum on our hands because I bought this used, so it's entirely possible there's missing keycaps. But first, before I go accusing anyone, let's give them a benefit of the doubt and assume your boy just chucked it away. Obviously, it has to be a 1U. So it couldn't be any of these. And it has to be white. Ah, perfect. That was a moment. Also, this is interesting. There's some slightly darker F, D, and U. They're a little bit darker and the legends are a little less crisp. And I'm wondering if they came from a different set. Like, it's odd that it would just be those three. Like, if it was WASD, I would understand. But it's just DFU. Bruh. I did not stick the landing on that. I hit like every other key on my macro pad other than the bruh button. That's okay. Is right. I along with you. That's okay. We have every single key that we need. And can I just say, this is a real looker here. The yellow, oh, is this not perfect? Just chef kiss. This is so good. But appearance is half the battle. It's all about that sound test, baby. So let's get the old buddy boy tofu out of here. Perfect. I agree. It is. All right. That's not what I want there. This is what I want here. Oh, I apologize. Okay, I'm trying to get the mic out of the shot, but I want it in here. Okay. This is a Rama. No, this is not. This is a KBD Fans D60 with black Boba U4Ts and Rama PBT Heavy Industry. Oh no. All right, folks. Hey, what's up, Gerald? Good to see you. I've been catching your streams sometimes in the morning. I appreciate that you're not on super late like some streamers are. That's cool. Right? Oh, it sounds good. Boy, this is a nice board. One thing I also would like to do is do a little reprogramming, because this is not mapped to the HHKB layout. So let's go to the configure section. This is VIA compatible, which is fantastic. So we'll make this be escape only. And then this key will be the little tilde guy. Here, everything else looks good. This will be, I think it'll be, I want it to be backspace, and then I'll just have a function layer turn it into delete. That makes more sense to my monkey brain than definitely not reset. Let's put delete here. Then the alternative, and this will remain escape, which means it'll just go like down. Right? Dude, I'm inspired. You have a lot of stuff going on, Gerald, and it's really cool. So I stream once a week and I feel like it's a lot, so I dig it. Let's see. This would be control, left control, shift. This would be alt. This would be, yeah, probably Windows, space bar. This is also alt. And then this would be right Windows, I guess, because that's really all that's down here if control is here. Right Windows. These two don't matter. This would be function, so this would be layers, and then momentary layer 1. Enter backspace. Okay, I think that's the official HHKB layout. Let's go to this key tester and find out. So control, alt, Windows, Windows, alt. Function should turn this into delete, and it's normally backspace. Enter, tilde, escape, and that's still escape. Okay. Very interesting. What's test matrix? Let me Google that. I still have caps lock on. In VIA? Oh, turn it on. Oh, neat. What? Oh, that's so cool. Dude, thank you. That's so much better. The other thing I wish VIA did was that it didn't let the Windows key pull up the Windows thing. The EK switch hitter program does that better, but it for whatever reason I can't get Streamlabs to capture switch hitter, which is very weird, but sweet. Okay. Well, I think that's all the mods I wanted to do to this keyboard, but boy, oh boy, I like it. It's got this nice springy feel. It actually, I have managed to switch hitter. It doesn't happen. If you download EK switch hitter, it actually doesn't, which is really nice. But yeah, everything else does that. So they somehow managed to get around it in EK switch hitter, but yeah, no, oh man, I am psyched about this build. I've been thinking about it a lot for the last week. I kind of was hesitant to do some like back-to-back hotspot builds just because I like soldering a lot, and but I think I'll make up for it because I have like a discipline and a basket weave and a bunch of like through hole only builds that are going to take a lot of soldering. So you will see more than your fair share of me soldering in the near future. But doesn't it? Yeah, dude, it does. And the funny thing is, I ordered a Ramakara in Soyu, which is the like kind of beige colorway, thinking that this would be the perfect keycap set. Also, that's funny, the shine through doesn't look great. I need to figure out how to turn the LEDs off, but yeah, it totally looks like a Rama board, and it's gasket mounted and it's heavy and like it feels great. So it's a very muted kind of feel, and I love it. Kind of like a sleeper build almost, but anyways, that was quick. In and out in under 2 hours. Not too shabby. Yeah, I'm really enjoying this. Oh, that's why I can't get caps lock turned off. This wasn't plugged in. But anywho, thanks for joining me. Boy, I really like this board. I might start daily driving it. I think it'll take me a minute to get used to this layout, but just, boy, it looks great. But I really appreciate you watching. I appreciate you hanging out and chatting. And if you're watching this on YouTube, thank you for that. But other than that, like I said, I have some upcoming content. In fact, let me check. I plan to stream every Monday, 6 p.m. MST. So you can convert that to your time zone. But as far as streams go, I got some stuff coming up. I got, obviously, like I said, a Ramakara that should be in soon. There's also this board called the Saturn 60 that, let me show you. It is, it's very cool. I'm excited for it to come out someday. It's supposed to be here end of the month. I don't know if that's going to happen or not, but look at this thing. It's really cool. Thank you. I appreciate it. That's very kind of you. So I'll be building that on stream at some point soon when that ships. A sneak box, other client stuff, the jet van, the little 40% from yes, I do. Gerald, are you building this? I really do want to see someone building it. Oh yeah, who's building it? Who's building it? I'm sorry. My auto mod is going crazy. You could post it in the Discord though. Keeb Noob. Okay, let me look them up. Are they literally building it right now? Oh my gosh. Look at that. Okay, let's rate them. I love that idea. That's brilliant. That is 5-head big brain move. So yeah, I will. Let me toss this in here. Let me go to my. I'm so amateur hour. I don't even have the creator dashboard. Dude, honestly though, I've been thinking about that board for a really long time. Let us raid Keeb Noob. The serendipity. It's fate. Anyways, all that to say, I've been very excited about this board. I'm happy that you guys were able to be here. And yeah, I'll see you next week, and I'll let you know what we have coming up, basically right when it happens. But yeah, we're gonna join Keeb Noob. 5-viewer raid ready to go. So anyways, I'll see y'all next time.